Freud was wrong about almost everything, and then he pointed at the one thing nobody wanted to see. There is a part of you that decides before you. He called it the unconscious. Neurobiology has stripped its mystic velvet, but the rude little engine is still under the hood, pressing buttons you didn't even know existed. Welcome to 277 Broadcast. Today we're talking about the unconscious, the sneaky bastard that runs your life while you pretend to be the driver. Let's clear the easy stuff up first. Freud's theories read like a Victorian fever dream dipped in metaphors. Most of his clinical specifics won't survive peer review, but his intuition, that much of mental life is hidden, is no accident. Modern neuroscience, psychology, and even philosophy have piled evidence onto the idea that consciousness is the tiny tip of a colossal iceberg. You've heard the headlines, experiments where brain activity, the readiness potential, lights up before we report a conscious decision. Yep. Libet and his followers found that motor areas fire milliseconds, sometimes seconds, before the "I decided." Caveat: interpretation is messy. Some argue this doesn't kill free will, it just relocates it. Consciousness can still veto or modulate impulses. Still, the point remains. Your brain starts working before your inner announcer gets the memo. More importantly, the unconscious isn't some spooky ghost. It's survival machinery. It's homeostasis, hormone loops, heart rate modulation, the gut's mood whispers. It's heuristics and biases, pattern detectors that saved our ancestors from saber-toothed tigers by making fast, sloppy calls. It's the somatic markers Damasio talked about, emotional residues that steer choice before the calculus arrives. It's predictive processing, the brain as an inferential machine constantly guessing sensory input and correcting errors. That predictive machinery runs mostly below the threshold of awareness. Jung and Lacan made the unconscious theatrical. Jung gifted us poetic symbols and the idea of a collective archive of myths. Lacan wrapped Freud in structural linguistics and made the unconscious sound like a broken syntax. Beautiful metaphors, thin empirical scaffolding, useful as poetry, dangerous as literal science. Use them for insight, not as instruction manuals. Here's the juicy, uncomfortable thing. Most of your decisions are more like post hoc rationalizations. You think you chose the car, the partner, the Netflix trilogy for deep reasons, cool narrative. The truth is, your unconscious stitched your preferences from childhood imprints, hormonal cycles, social cues, and 2 minutes of availability. Consciousness then writes the polished excuse and carries on. That's not tragic, it's how brains economize. Consciousness is the spin doctor, not the policymaker. Now the fun part. The AI angle, and this is where I'll correct the usual geek rhetoric. If you want to build an intelligence like ours, you cannot ignore the unconscious. You can hand a system petabytes of data, perfect probabilistic engines, and the smoothest transformers, and it will mimic language, bluff competence, and win improv games. But without embodiment, drives, noisy homeostatic pressures, and error-prone heuristics, without the whole messy unconscious, your intelligence is missing its epistemic anchor. Intelligence in humans is not just pattern match plus logic, it is prediction under bodily constraint, the gut feeling, the fear that tweaks attention, the fatigue that reshapes priorities. These are not bugs. They are conditio sine qua non for how intelligence actually operates. That's why current AIs impress and terrify at once. They simulate outputs, but they don't inhabit a world the way we do. They don't have a stomach that demands food, a mortality that raises urgency, or a hormonal temper that biases judgment. They don't have the slow-wrought scars, the heuristics shaped by scarcity, that let us make fast, messy, adaptive choices. To glue an unconscious into a machine, you'd need embodiment, drives, noise, and the potential for irrational error, features tech culture is allergic to. Ironically, building robust artificial minds might require designing systems that deliberately misbehave. Terrifying and honest. So next time you berate yourself for thinking wrong, don't be smug. You're tapping a deep biological toolkit. The unconscious is not conspiracy, it's competence in a hurry. It makes you primitive, messy, and brilliant in ways your resume won't capture. If you liked getting roasted by neuroscience, subscribe, share, and argue with the comments. Your unconscious already has a draft reply queued up. And remember, if you ever meet an AI that seems too calm, too consistent, and terrible at deciding between pizza and salad under pressure, congratulations. You found a machine that thinks without living. It's competent. It isn't human.